Welcome everybody to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Again, it is me, Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. Hope everybody's had a great week or 2 weeks. I think the last podcast I did was with my man Jojo Diaz. We didn't get to talk about the other fights. I wanted to focus just on him. If you guys have not listened to that podcast, make sure you guys go listen back wherever you guys are listening to your podcast, whether it's on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, wherever. I mean, I think there's so many platforms already where you can listen to them. I think I'm on most of them, so make sure you guys listen to that. Again, big shout out to Los Anaya for that intro. Again, that's Los Anaya, Losanaya. You can listen to them on, again, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, wherever good music is listened to. There's so many fights to talk about. I really want to get into it. I want to make this as quick as possible. I've always made a concerted effort to get this podcast out to you again as quickly as I possibly can. I know you guys are busy. I need to respect you guys' time. So again, I will try to get this one out of the way nice and short. At least what I think your work commute is, you know. So first things first, let's talk about the big fight that happened this weekend. That was from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, where Manny Pacquiao beat Keith one-time Thurman. Man, what a fight. Again, this has been the year of, who knows who's really going to win. In my opinion, again, Manny Pacquiao is in my opinion, one of the great wonders of the world. It took me some getting used to really appreciate him as a fighter. Look, man, it's fighters that fight in volume like he did, like in the weight classes he came up with, do not make it to fight at 40. I mean, a lot of them don't make it to 30, to be completely honest with you. So to ask a fighter like that to make it, again, to fight at 40 and still be one of the top guys, not even in his weight classes. I don't think Manny Pacquiao is in his natural weight class, but to be the best in a welterweight division that we know that he's too small for, that, in my opinion, it's great. Again, it's not something that you're going to see that often. We're not going to see it, I believe, in our lifetime, or at least this generation again. He's obviously one of the wonders of the world, because what he did to Keith Thurman, the way he started the pace, the way he again knocked down Keith Thurman in the first round when he just kind of ran to him. Keith Thurman tried to go back, in a straight line, and he ended up dropping him. I think that set the tempo for the rest of the fight. Keith Thurman was doubting himself. Again, it was more of a psychological thing at that point. But he was never able to fight the same. But then again, I think Keith Thurman deserves a lot of respect for, yes, he was very aware of Manny's power, where it was coming from and whatnot, but he actually came to fight. He believed in himself the whole fight. And I heard all the shit where Adrian Broner saying, oh, he got all fucked up, blah, blah, this. At least I didn't get dropped. Motherfucker, you didn't come to fight. Keith Thurman came to win the fight. Keith Thurman, yes, he knew, and I think in most people actually thought that Keith Thurman had a legitimate chance in beating Manny Pacquiao. He believed in his abilities, unlike a guy like Broner that came to survive, and then to complain about him not winning the fight, that I beat that boy shit. Kudos to Thurman. Makes me want to watch him more than I did before. Keith Thurman, in his past couple of fights, he jumped on his bike, he used his legs a lot, moved a lot. Even in a fight like the Josecito fight, again, just moved his legs a little too much for my personal liking, especially when I know that Keith Thurman is or was, or what we like to call him, fajador. That means he's gonna buckle down and he's gonna fight his way out of the situation. That's what he did before, and I think that's kind of what he did on this fight. He went vintage Keith Thurman, and he actually tried to win the fight by hurting the much smaller Manny Pacquiao. And kudos to Manny Pacquiao's chin, man, because he did fucking great, man. I mean, this was vintage Manny. which again, I don't want to be that guy, that starts with the conspiracy theories, but again, this looked like vintage Manny. This looked like maybe a bit of a shell of himself, but it looked like that guy that beat Hatton. He looks like that guy that beat Cotto, a 40-year-old guy that beat Cotto. You know what I'm saying? He looked good. But I think they opened themselves up to suspicion, especially after, there was no VADA testing. Whether a guy like Manny Pacquiao is dirty, I don't know. He's never been caught. It's just always been assumptions. But you can't help to raise an eyebrow when he looks so amazing versus this guy. When, of course, he didn't look that great versus a Broner. Even versus a shell of what was Lucas Matisse. Yes, he beat him, but again, he didn't look this crisp. He didn't look this perfect. Manny looked good. He looked like he had his killer instinct back, and shit, I enjoyed it. But one thing I didn't enjoy was that undercard. That undercard was just ass, man. We had Ugas versus Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa, I don't know. Again, very explosive guy. I mean, if it wasn't for his power, there's guys that could go out and still put a good performance that do not have power. Omar Figueroa is just ugly to look at. I mean, all his punches look weird. He looks like he's fighting sideways. He looks like, that little I guess in Mexico we say la vieja del rancho, that one that fights all shy, always looking down. That's how he looks to me. He looks like he's ducking his chin and his shoulder, but in a weird way. It's just not fun to watch when he's just not rolling over people. And credit to Ugas, he made him his bitch, and fought. Ugas at least fought the right fight, in the beginning, smothered him, didn't let Omar Figueroa get off his punches. But that's just who Figueroa is. Look, he's a hell of a talent. We know he has pop, but from my understanding, they were saying something about he trained himself. There was a little gordito in the corner with him and whatnot. But I mean, come on. I mean, let's be honest. It looked like he's just one of the guys that holds the water in most fights. At least I didn't know about the gordito that was with him. But again, the fight was ass. It was kind of boring. It went to Ugas won every minute or second of that fight. Again, I didn't see much of anything from Omar Figueroa. Again, a hell of a talent, but that's, in my opinion, wasted talent. I mean, when you're getting DUIs in the middle of a training camp, that tells you something. And look, if this isn't what Omar Figueroa wants, I get it. Fuck boxing. Go away. You don't need a box. Don't get fucking hurt out there. It's really not worth it. I get that Al pays these fighters a lot of money, but I mean, who really cares? Hey, again, in that same undercard, it was Luis Neri fought some other guy. I mean, again, ass fight. Lipinez versus, what was it, Jayar Insan. He was supposed to fight Molina. Molina, back was broken. Again, I don't know. Caleb Plant versus the Subway guy. I mean, man, Mike Lee. I haven't seen Mike Lee fight since he was in that top ranked diet and he was being fed, he was being fed as the American dream or whatnot, and I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck did Mike do to deserve a fight, to fight for a belt. And you see why I have a problem with all these guys fighting for belts. This is the type of fight that you're gonna get. These are the type of fights that a guy like Caleb's gonna fight. A guy that just, I don't know, and I don't know if you guys read, but there's a story around that a lot of the story that he says or whatever Fox is milking off of this kid, they seem to be all bullshit. The baby mama came out saying, that most of the stuff that he says is stuff that he told her because he was really never around for that kid. Again, I don't like to dwell on the chisme, but I don't know. I've never really I never trusted, Caleb Plant. Again, he's a good fighter, but milking stories like this kind of turns me off. Just show me where you can fight, and that's it. I don't care about your personality. You could be a boring ass motherfucker. I don't care. But show me that at least you can fight. Again, card was pretty bad. Wasn't a fan of the card. Thank God for a top ranked guy like Manny Pacquiao to come in and fix. And then finally make a decent pay-per-view out out of a Heyman show. Because I mean, let's face it, that's exactly what happened. I see all these Heyman guys, all these pro Heyman guys saying, "Oh yeah, this is where it's at." Blah blah this. Uh, Heyman's putting on the best cards, but no, not really. I saw an ass undercard. I saw a main event with a guy that was built by Top Rank, fighting one of your guys, and that's it. But it took a guy that was built in a different platform to come and create revenue and sell tickets and create mega events to come to PBC and put on some sort of a show. So don't give me that. Oh, Heyman is putting on great cards. It's really not. He just borrowed fighters. But again, enough with this card. That was all fun and games in Vegas. But I'm kind of going back as we go along, and I'm gonna go out through at least most of the main events on these that actually happened this weekend. Also this weekend, I was on Friday on ESPN Plus, and again, shout out to War Media. Came through not only on Friday, but on Saturday. I don't have ESPN Plus, but what I do have is War Media. It came through. The whole card was nice and crisp, whether it was Saturday and Friday. No buffering, no nothing. As long as you have good internet, make sure you guys hit them up. That's War Media, at War Media Center on Instagram. So make sure you guys give them a follow. But yeah, from on ESPN Plus on the MGM on Oxon Hill, it was Teofimo Lopez actually beat Masayoshi Nakatana in a fun card, man. And I personally enjoyed the fight. This was the type of fight that a kid like Teofimo needed. His father needed. This whole, he's the best that ever fought, needed it. I mean, it kind of grounds everybody in boxing. And I see a lot of people that were actually pissed off saying, oh, he got exposed, oh, this and that. He could have knocked everybody out. Come on, guys. That in my opinion, is bullshit. You guys should be mad at yourself. There's no kid that hasn't that's just gonna go and roll over everybody. And I said it in the previous podcast. These are the type of guys that you have to be careful with. The guys that no one knows about. This kid was what, about 6 feet tall. Was Nakatana? There's a big kid, undefeated kid. So he's not the type of kid that knows how to lose. These kids, these I believe he was Japanese, but these kids come from Asia and they come to fight. They're not pushovers. We see a lot of them now on the pound for pound list. Like, you know what? These guys are legit. So to give a guy like Teofimo Lopez for going 12 rounds and arguably winning every single round, shit, because he didn't knock out his opponent. Come on, is this just about being a knockout artist, or is this about actually fighting? You have to fight back, fight different styles, and that's exactly what he did. Again, I give Teofimo all the credit in the world. This is a developmental fight, and this guy is fighting developmental fights as a 12 rounder. He's not fighting them, one through 4 rounders. This is where his where we need to find out if he either needs to level up and start fighting tougher opposition. Is he ready for the guy like Loma? I personally don't think so. I wouldn't want to see him versus Loma. I think it's a bit too much right now. Is he ready for Kami? I think so. Give him a belt. Look, I think that the kid is a championship level fighter. I think it'll be a hell of a fight versus Kami, but does he win it? I think so. It might be a little shaky. You might see a couple of rounds where we see him wobble and whatnot, but he's definitely ready for that fight. So again, what's next for Loma? Kami is I'm sorry, not Loma. I'm sorry, Teofimo Lopez. Big humble pie, and I think he was harder on himself than he should be. I think social media and the fans in general are harder on him than we should be. But this is a developmental fight. This is the type of fight I wanted to see him fight. I wanted to see him go rounds. I wanted to see him win these rounds. I wanted to see him get backed up. I wanted to see him just move around the ring for 12 rounds. See if he is really up to par, or can he really learn from a fight like this? And I think he did. I think he'll come back. He'll come back stronger, and maybe he'll get rid of Kami a little faster than than he would have if he would have just came in and ran over Nakatana. In that same card, we had Maxim Dadashev. He gets stopped by Subriel Matias. I believe it was in the 11th round. Now, we all know, I think by now, what happened. Maxim, unfortunately, has passed away as of, I believe it was yesterday. So he did pass away. He was in the fight, and it was a fun fight to watch, but it was a fight. And I don't want to say it was one-sided because he was in the fight. But in that last round, he did look a little shaky. He didn't look like he had his legs under him. Buddy McGirt stopped the fight and almost begged Maxim to let him stop the fight, which I don't think he should have. He should have just stopped it. Again, I don't think anything that Buddy McGirt did was wrong. And that's why a lot of people keep trying to point fingers. And people say, what could he avoid? What could he have done different? I don't think there was anything he could have done different in this fight. As far as the stoppage goes, I think it was stopped at the right time. You can't predict what's going on inside a fighter's head, whether is he concussed or whatnot. You really just can't tell. Or you can't stop a fight without any type of evidence. I think that the evidence that they got was in that last round when they actually stopped it, and that was it. They stopped it right, but to give everybody shit or to try to scream in the air saying, "Oh, this is what's wrong," and this was no, you can't blame the ref, you can't blame the coach. These are just freak accident that happened. There's a lot of loss in this, and it kind of makes you reflect. It kind of makes you think. It's easy to call these fighters bums. And there's always that I always hear from both sides. Like, oh, fuck the fans. They never been in the ring, and I hear the other way around where the fans say, well, you know what? I pay for my fucking subscription to this. I paid to go to the fights. I can say whatever the fuck I want. I get it. Everyone's right. One, I think without the fan base, it would just be a bunch of guys fighting in a fucking backyard. If there's really no fan interest and no fan money going into this. So I get that. Especially me as a boxing fan that I am. I get that. So criticism sometimes is granted. But I also understand that sometimes as boxing fans, we need to put a human connection and a face to what we're saying. I saw someone on Instagram post something very, it was bad, it was harsh. I'm not going to name any names, but it was harsh about Maxim. But he quickly deleted when he understood the seriousness of the situation. He understand that it's not that a fighter quit or he wanted to quit; it's that a fighter just couldn't do it anymore. And again, that's when you put yourself as a human being like, fuck, this guy just fucking lost his life, left his kids behind. And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, calling people bums, calling people out of their names. These guys are putting their life in the line for my entertainment. So I know we all get carried away as fans, and it's easier to say, man, fuck this guy, F this guy, screw this dude. This is I go for this guy in PBC. I like this guy. Again, screw that. These guys are putting their life on the line, and sometimes they do it for entertainment because of their egos, or sometimes their corners are too brave to stop it. And again, we have to stop and think about that type of shit. It's a crazy sport, man, and I hate when they call fighters quitters. I don't think it's a bad idea to quit every once in a while. When a guy's fighting, a 10-rounder and he's already lost 8, and you want to keep going, what for? To go to the distance? What are you gonna go to the distance for? What are you gonna do? You're gonna get a fucking participation award? Oh, this guy went the distance with blah blah. So what? You fucking lost every round. Now you have a fucking speech impediment because, your tongue's too fucking heavy to carry because you're fucking punch drunk. You don't need that shit. At the end of the day, it's a sport. These guys aren't fucking gladiators. Look, if you're losing fucking, these trainers have to do the fucking math. and it goes back to a couple of fights that I've seen. For example, Thursday, Golden Boy had fights at Fantasy Springs Casino, and Jason Quigley got stopped by Thurmanand Johnson in the 11th round, I believe. Look, Jason came out and he's adopted a new style, and he arguably beat Johnson the first round, maybe half of the second, but then Johnson just started like just breathing on him. Just he was on top of Quigley, round after round after round after round. I mean, he arguably won rounds 2 through 7, 8 again, nonstop. When Quigley was just taking punishment, unnecessary punishment. I get it. The Irish are proud. Irish are tough. They don't know when to quit. But in my opinion, the Quigley's corner was a little braver than they should have been. They shouldn't have asked this guy if he was okay stopping him. They kept asking. They made Quigley pretty much look like a quitter because the camera was on him, and they kept asking Jason Quigley, "Do you want me to stop the fight?" Quigley just stared dead in space. Yes, he wants you to stop the fight, but don't ask the fighter that. Let the fighter stop the fight for the fighter, man. So who gives a shit if he gets pissed at you because you stop the fight? But you let him fight another day. There's other fights to be made. Look, you could easily go and make the adjustments and learn from these type of fights. Maybe Thurmanand Johnson was too much for him that fight, but maybe he gets a shot at a title somewhere else, or again, not even a shot at the title. Maybe he gets a shot at rebuilding his career and he moves on and he could move forward as a fighter. Why not? But give the kid the opportunity. Don't ask him. It doesn't matter at that point. What matters is the guy's life. Same thing happened, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago. Not as far as the corner being too brave for him, but we saw a great fight between Diego De La Hoya and Ronnie Rios, where Ronnie actually stopped Diego De La Hoya. But I saw folks labeling Diego De La Hoya as a quitter. Why? Because the fight got stopped, because he was a little shaky and unresponsive. What do you expect? He just got hit with a huge body shot. Then I think he got followed up in the chin. Again, my mind gets a little blurry. It's been a while. But the fact of the matter is that we're calling this kid a quitter for I think, in my opinion, at least, by the decision of the ref and whatnot, it was the best possible choice for that kid. So he lost his fight. So fucking what? I mean, all the greats, in my opinion, have lost and somehow have been able to rebuild their career, and so can a kid like little Diego. Instead of labeling them as quitters, we should congratulate both him and Ronnie for giving us a great fight, for giving us a great event. And I mean, again, it was at the War Grounds, the StubHub. Thank them instead. Buy him a beer if the kids drink. Buy him a soda. Buy him a water. Do something. Again, instead of calling them quitters, congratulate these guys. That was a great fight. That was one of the many upsets that week too. So again, it happens, but again, you don't need. There's no need for unnecessary punishment. It's okay to lose. Don't lose your fucking life, man. It's really not that worth it. Again, stop calling fighters quitters, man. It's just it gets old. It gets old. I get it. Your job is to be entertained. You're paying for entertainment. But if it's a one-sided affair, be braver than the be braver than the fighter. Be smarter than the fighter. And that goes for the commissions, the referees, the corners. Don't let our heroes, go down in flames. Stop it before somebody else stops them. But that's it for this week. Again, my condolences to Daravesha family. It's tough, man. It's tough losing somebody in boxing, especially somebody so young. He was a young kid. I think it was 13-0. So tough matchup. For once, it wasn't a top-ranked diet. It was a legit hard fight. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so yeah, let's change the subject a bit. We have a lot of fights coming up this weekend. Well, at least some decent ones, in my opinion. Let's start with the first thing that I saw on the schedule, which was from Baltimore on Showtime, July 27th, this Saturday. Again, Gervonta Davis gets to this homecoming, I guess you could say, versus another smaller fighter in Ricardo Nunez. I get it; it's a homecoming, but how many gimme fights? Again, this is where fighters get hurt. How many gimme fights does a guy like Gervonta Davis needs? He didn't fight Abner Mares, which again that was a gimme fight for him as well. And he got a replacement again, really easy fighter. The fight that he won in the first round. I don't see Ricardo Nunez doing anything different or doing something else with him. I see the same shit happening over and over. So that's it. The undercard ass. I mean, if the main guy, if the main event or the co-main event fighter starts with Jorge Gamboa, or Yuriorkis Gamboa, I'm sorry, Jorge Gamboa was the whole paisa singer. Or Yuriorkis Gamboa, you're in trouble. Again, horrible card. Something I personally don't want to watch. I'll watch the main event, sure, why not? Because, I got to come back and talk to you guys about something, right? But, other than that, undercard is ass. The card the main event that I really want to see, let me rephrase that again. The main event that I really want to see is actually from Arlington, Texas, on the Zone. You actually get a unification fight between Maurice Hooker and Jose Ramirez from up north in Northern Cali. Everybody knows Jose Ramirez trains off of the Robert Garcia gym, solid fighter, and WBC junior light welterweight, whatever you want to call it, champion, 140-pound champion. And of course, Maurice Hooker again. That fights with his own. There's a lot of things that I like about this fight. One is a cross promotion. Ramirez gets we know he's a top ranked guy. Top rank is ESPN, but somehow this fight is on the Zone. The Zone again. Matchroom is the main promoter here. And again, of course, Matchroom is part of the Zone, so that's cool. Cross promotion is cool. That means that opens the door for all that bullshit talk and he's in the wrong side of the street. No, obviously not. These guys are fighting. This is a unification fight. Why not? We get treated to a great fight, especially the people in Texas. Now, what type of fight are we going to get? Man, this is going to be a crazy, tough, grueling fight, messy fight. A fight that we might not even see who the ref is. I think these guys are going to, go in the middle of the ring and throw bombs away. I know Ramirez is a very intelligent fighter, but he's a volume puncher. Maurice Hooker, he's a fighter too. I think, he's a good boxer, but I think he's that type of kid that loves to bang. Who do I see winning? On the cards, Ramirez. Ramirez should take this fight because I think Ramirez needs to be knocked out for a Texas judge to not give it to the Mexican, even if Hooker is the hometown guy. Look, man, we all know sometimes judges score the fight a little different. I don't see any difference here. I'm sorry. I think Ramirez is going to pull out the fight. There's more upside to Ramirez. Hooker, again, is a great fighter, but again, as far as the upside, who can you make more money off of? I think it's Ramirez. I know it sounds like complete bullshit, but the fact of the matter is that it is the truth. If you were a promoter, who would you rather win? It's Ramirez. Ramirez is the guy that could sell out, arenas in Northern California. He could put, asses in seats like there's no other. So, yeah, Ramirez, in my opinion, Ramirez needs to get knocked out and put out of that ring for him to lose the fight. So, yeah, I'm going with Ramirez on this one. As far as the undercard, again, undercard is ass. Let's be honest. I think that's my word of the week, ass. There's nothing fancy about that card. There's Tevin Farmer fighting yet another gimme fight. Look, Terrence Farmer's that fighter that you wish had a Cinderella story, and then he finally gets that. It's like that guy that wins the lottery, your friend that wins the lottery, and all of a sudden he doesn't talk to you. That's the type of fighter that Terrence Farmer is. Terrence Farmer was a guy that didn't get any opportunities or finally got an opportunity to fight for a belt. He won the belt, yes, but he feels like I feel like he's how can I say this? He's keeping the belt hostage. He doesn't want to fight the real fighters. There's guys like Jojo Diaz, and again, it's a fight like Jojo Diaz. He might beat Jojo. Who knows? It's a very competitive fight, but he won't fight. There's also Tank Davis. Instead of them, Tank Davis and Tevin Farmer fighting other opponents, they should fight each other, fighting the same week. Why not? This is what I'm talking about, cross promotion. It can be done. It definitely can be done, but will you do it? I really hope Tevin, whether he wins or loses, but I hope he ends up fighting Jojo Diaz. I think it's a great fight. It's a card. This weekend's fight is not one that I care about. I will watch it, but it's not something that I'll say, you know what? I'm not going to go pick up my hot wings because Tevin Farmer is about to fight. Nah, I'll go do whatever the fuck I got to do, and I'll watch Tevin Farmer whenever I watch Tevin Farmer. Other than that, that's it for Saturday. On Sunday the 24th, Sunday the 28th, Sunday the 28th, from Hollywood, California, we got 360 Promotions. Again, that's Sunday the 28th. Tom Loeffler is putting on fun fights. You know what? Everybody knows that I'm a sucker for developmental fights. Especially, I mean, look, if they're in my hometown, why not? You get to see all these little kids what's this kid's name? Local fighter like Adrian Corona, Mario Ramos, even Humberto Rubalcaba. He's a good kid, getting ticket sellers. That's why they're involved in the shows. Might not be world beaters now, but maybe one gets a chance to be somebody in the future. The main event is Bohachuk versus Fernando Marin. I think that is a 10-rounder. So it's a fun fight, man. It's one of those. Bohachuk is one of those fighters that in my opinion eventually will win a belt. He will be a solid fighter, maybe even a champ someday. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. But more importantly than the main event, in my opinion, it's the undercard, man. It's a great platform to develop these kids, and personally, I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be there. So if you guys go, make sure you guys say what's up. Don't be that guy that messages me a day after, say, hey, you know what? I saw you, but I was too embarrassed to say what's up. Don't be embarrassed to talk to me. Fuck, it's only me. But that's it. That's it for this week. Oh, actually, let me stop there. Every time I'm going to do a show, I try going, if of course I have time, I try going on Instagram and just asking you guys, whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever, questions that you have, I want to answer them for you guys. So let me grab my phone right quick, go on Instagram and see what you guys asked. Okay, so Beto Visión asked a bunch of questions. He says, who is Ray Pop? Am I allowed to leave Pico Rivera shows? I don't go to Pico Rivera shows anymore, bro. That was a catastrophe. I'm good, bro. I'm good. He also asked, when am I going to be a guest on the podcast? I want to have a guest at least once a month, and Beto, you're one of the ones I'm looking forward to, so I'm sure we'll do it soon. Let's see who else is out there. Let's see. Magallanes 1983 asks, why is Luis Neri hesitant about moving up? Why does he need to move up? Isn't he in the same card? In the same weight? Let him bang. He doesn't need to move up. He's a big guy. I hope we get the Inoue fight before he moves up. I think that's a fight to make. I'm personally not a big fan of Luis Neri, but yeah, to each his own. Boxing Bros ask, should Pacquiao retire, or does he still have another fight in him? In my opinion, look, in a perfect world, Pacquiao will retire now. In my opinion, look, he just beat, again, a top 3 welterweight, young cat. What else is there to prove? Unless he really needs the dough, I personally, I would wish he would just retire. Like I said, Pacquiao's, it's now he's a living legend, still fighting these young monsters. I wish him all the best of luck. Let's see, who else is here? Two Nuts. Damn, that's a weird name.
Should there be rules implied where a non-defensive boxer should continue boxing? No, not well. Depends. The I think the conscientious thing to do if a fighter gets hit 20 times, I believe, or 10 times. I'm not sure, one or the other. But without responding or without fighting back, I think the referee will stop it. I think that's a good rule. At least if you're throwing a 10-punch combination and the fighter is not doing anything, just blocking, and again, that's what referees like looking at these fighters' eyes. They should fight, because at this point you're not. Again, it goes back to my original story, is that if you're not providing anything, if you're not moving forward, if you're not fighting, what are we doing here? Because obviously you're not in the fight anymore. So yeah, let's move on. And it should be stuck. Let's see who else. Let's see, just a bunch of. Going Postal 818 says on the Russian Max death, medical responders did a horrible job. And look, let me stop you there. Pretty much he's saying that they did a horrible job handling the situation, and shame on Top Rank and ESPN for shoving the camera in his face. You know what? Again, Going Post, I really respect your opinion. You're pretty much on it all the time, and I get it. But we're saying this now after something happened. But this happens every single time, and we're not vocal about it. This is a sick mind that we all have by watching the sport. But this is part of boxing. We didn't know. He was able to walk down out of that ring, started stumbling after. So I get it where there wasn't a sense of urgency on taking care of him. Again, he walked out of that ring. So I see where the first responders weren't there. And I'm not going to sit here and blame them. THSD, I think that's Ivan, says, is it true if you don't lose it? No, if you don't use it, you lose it. ¿Quién sabe, viejo? And Chepe Docino asks, what's your pick on Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson? My pick is interesting. I don't want that fight. I don't like that fight for Valdez. I don't like where the young guy, where the older guy, or the guy that we know isn't all there, gets used as the opponent, just to amplify it, or to give the younger guy a better record. That's one thing I've always hated about the sport, and I don't think, not that I'm saying that Valdez is washed, but I think Valdez is time at 100 and 126. I think his days are numbered. I don't think he should be fighting the type of monsters that Shakur is. I think he should be fighting fighters more on his level. I think a fight at 130 is I think a move to 130 is great. I think he should vacate the belt. And I think fights like with Jojo Diaz is a great fighter. A fighter that is not necessarily has the biggest punch in the world, but it'll give you a great fight. Fighters of his level, fighters with name already, that have an established name, those are the fighters that he should fight. So Chepe Docino, that's my answer to that. No, I don't want that fight. Shakur Stevenson could fight another of the top guys, and he could have his belt. Let's see, who else is out there? I think this was pretty much it. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I ranted out for about 40 minutes now, or 38 minutes, something like that. Thank you guys so much for listening. We talked about Pacquiao. We talked about Maxim. We talked about quitting. We talked about everything we possibly can in the future fights. With that said, thank you guys again for listening. Don't forget to like on YouTube, or leave a review on iTunes if you can. But again, thank you guys so much for listening. This has been the Mr. Boxing Guru Podcast. Otros que se fue muy lejos.